I'm very curious. Was that an intentional inspiration or just pure coincidence?
Wow, look, a great question. Actually,
Hi, Adam. How you doing today?
good. Thanks, Thomas. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you for speaking to me. I just want you to know, I saw this movie at Secret Movie Club for TIFF about 2 weeks ago, and I saw your Q&A there. And as soon as that ended, I've never emailed the publicist fast enough for an interview. I loved this the second I saw it, and I knew as soon as I saw your Q&A, I wanted to talk to you about this more because in a year where we've had so many great animated movies, Memoir of a Snail is easily the best one for me. Like, I don't know how you managed to destroy my mental state and then make me laugh like 5 seconds later. It's incredible. It's a brilliant talent you have.
Well, it's a weird aspiration that I have is to make everyone an emotional wreck by the end of one of my films. And if I don't, I feel like I've failed. But, I always hope that they're tears of joy. And I really certainly don't want anyone to leave the cinema feeling despondent about themselves or the world. I hope that they leave feeling uplifted and particularly in these tumultuous times. And I think I'm very mindful of making content now that I'm in my 50s that is life affirming and has positive human values in there. Certainly, there's a lot of darkness in my films, but I try and temper that with comedy and moments that are full of hope.
Well, you do it perfectly. Like, as soon as I saw the movie, I called my sister right away to tell her how much I love her. You gave me that feeling of like joy and hope, like connection, and I really love that. So my first question for you, it's a bit of a fun one actually. I'm a huge fan of animation, and one of my favorite shows is Family Guy, and I couldn't help but notice that Ken bared a bit of a resemblance to a character from Family Guy, Glenn Quagmire.
Giggity, 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 ooh, ee, ooh, ah, ah, ting, tang, walla, walla, bing, bang. Ooh, ee, ooh, ah, ah, ting, tang, walla, walla, bing, bang. And then we also have a girl from Omaha who's hiding a banana. We'll find out where. Giggity, 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 goo. Stick around.
They both really kinky, really weird shaped jaws, and the same flower pattern shirt. And just as a lover of animation, I'm very curious. Was that an intentional inspiration or just pure coincidence?
Wow, look, a great question. I'm aware of Family Guy, but in Australia, I don't watch it. I think I know the father. I think there's that big fat guy.
Yeah.
But no, look, coincidental. I'm very flattered though. You would think that Ken's sort of based on. We have a character in Australia called Chesty Bond, and he is a character invented many years ago to sell T-shirts and singlets. And he's this sort of big muscly guy, and he's got a very square jaw. So he's sort of based a bit on him, but also the actor who does the voice, Tony Armstrong, who has a very big, thick mustache and looks like a porn star. So Ken's sort of an amalgamation of many people. He's also a bit of a used car salesman. He's got that little bald patch on the back of his head. We had a lot of fun designing him. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to know if it was a coincidence because I loved seeing that. It was like the first thing that came to mind just as someone who loves animation. And you mentioned like you had a lot of fun designing the characters. So I'm very curious, which character changed the most from their original incarnation to what we see in the final movie, or which one presented the most challenges of designing?
Oh, yeah. Well, look, I think probably Pinky. I think she went through the most iterations. She's inspired visually by the New York socialite who just passed away, Iris Apfel. I love characters who have big, big glasses, round shaped glasses. Her hair's sort of inspired by the late Phyllis Diller, the comedian. She's an amalgamation of a lot of people in my life. Uh, but visually, yeah, she went through many transformations. She was a very difficult puppet to actually make. She's quite dynamic in the film. She's tap dancing, she's flying through the air. So we had to really spend a lot of time designing her armature. And she actually ended up with the most mouths in the film. I think there were over 200 mouths. She has the most costume changes. I think she had half a dozen different dresses and outfits. But yeah, she was a lot of fun to design.
She's a great character, and I'm just saying right now, I need a Pinky spinoff, please. I loved seeing what she did throughout her life. I thought those were some of the funniest moments of the movie.
Well, I'm glad to say my next film is actually a Pinky type character. It's not Pinky herself, but is I've always wanted to do a full biography of an elderly woman who's led a very colorful life.
I'm very much looking forward to that, and I hope it takes less time than the break between Max and Mary and Memoir. And that also kind of leads me into my next question. You know, a lot of people are saying this serves as a great companion piece to your previous film, Max and Mary. And I think it serves as companion piece to a lot of like stories about life. For instance, there was a movie at TIFF, Mike Flanagan's latest movie, tells a story of a man chronologically, but backwards, but it has a happy ending. And for me, Memoir is kind of similar, but it's forward telling with a happy ending. So I'm curious, when you were writing Memoir, were there any films that inspired you?
Oh, look, I think I'm always, I don't watch a lot of animation. I certainly read a lot. I go to art galleries, but I certainly love films that are darker in their content. I love the films of Jean-Pierre Jeunet, films like Delicatessen and Amélie. I love that film by Lasse Hallström, one of his early films, My Life as a Dog. I love a lot of European cinema. But yeah, look, I love memoirs. I love biographies. I love biopics. I love films that deal with, who play around with the past, present, and future tenses. Of course, Christopher Nolan's Inception film plays with the metaverse, and we do that a little bit in this film with Grace being an animator animating another animator. So there's all those sorts of
Yeah.
playing around with tenses. But yeah, I certainly I love films that are very dense and character driven. So I'm not really into science fiction or fantasy. I love really just stories and films about everyday life and everyday people.
It's wonderful to hear. And you mentioned you like reading a lot of memoirs and biographies. I'm curious, is there a memoir read that you would like to see told in the form of choreography? And if so, which one is that?
Well, of course, there's the I've gone blank now. The it's I've got it in the film. You're gonna have to edit this out now because I can't remember the title. Holden Caulfield.
A few moments later.
Catcher in the Rye, is that the one?
Catcher in the Rye, yes, Catcher
That's
in the Rye. Sorry about that.
It's
Yeah,
okay, it's okay.
Catcher in the Rye, which of course, there's been many not attempts to turn it into a film, but it's the author now. I can't remember the author's name, but he in his will said he didn't want to ever the film to be ever turned sorry the novel to be ever turned into a film. But yeah, look, I think there are many other films that I'd love to see in stop motion. One of my favorite novels is A Confederacy of Dunces by John Kennedy Toole. I think that's been attempted to be turned into live action film. But look, I'm an auteur, so I'm really all about writing and directing my own films, and I've got enough stories in my head and in my notebooks and journals to keep me busy for decades. And I came up with this stupid idea years ago of doing a trilogy of trilogies: three short shorts, three long shorts, and three features. And it's taken me 28 years, but I've made seven of them, and so I've only got two left. But I think stop motion's a wonderful vehicle too to tell any story you like. And I've never seen animation as a genre. It really is. It is a medium and a vehicle only. And we should stop seeing as animation as a children's genre. It can be a wonderful way of really presenting audiences with challenging subject matter and thought provoking subject matter. And that's what I've tried to do with this film.
I could not agree with you more. I think animation is very much looked at as a children's genre, and that's a shame because there's so many incredible movies such as this one that should be talked about in something like a best picture conversation, not just live action. Before I go, I've got one more question for you. To prepare for this interview, I rewatched Harvey Crumpet yesterday for the first time in a very long time, and it got me thinking about his book of facts. And I love how they just pop out throughout the entire little short. I'm curious, if you put Harvey like as a character canonically into Memoir of Snail, like, and he sees it happen, is there a specific fact you think he will put into his book? And if so, what do you think it is?
Well, I think it would be, the quote that life can only be understood backwards, but we have to live it forwards.
It's a great quote. It's a great quote. I love that you included that.
Yeah, and that's one of my favorite quotes by the philosopher Soren Kierkegaard, which I actually had in my very first student film, Uncle. I had it in there, and I loved it so much. I knew I was going to bring it back one day and put it in one of my other films. And it's such a simple quote, but so profound. And really, I try and do live my life by that. I mean, every film I make, there's stuff I regret and wish I could change, but I have to just forget it and move on to the next project. And that's what I try and do. So yeah, Harvey, I'd love to bring Harvey back, but I think I'm not really into sequels. But Harvey does appear. He appears in Memoir of a Snail briefly. He is in Harvey Crumpet. Sorry, he is in Mary and Max as well, very briefly. He's a character that's very dear to my heart, and of course, his life brought me the Academy Award back in 2003. So,
wow, Harvey Crumpet has been a film that's been in my head for over 10 years, and I'm so glad he's out. Finally, we'd like to thank two very, very special people, my friend Juliet and my beautiful boyfriend Dan. Thank you.
I'm very indebted to Harvey for the rest of my life, and that's why he will always appear in all my future films.
Wonderful. And the way you say you're indebted to Harvey, I hope you're indebted to Gracie because I really want you to win Best Animated Feature for this movie. I want this movie to be in the Best Picture conversation. Like it's truly incredible. So again, I just want to say thank you so much. I really do mean it from the bottom of my heart. Thank you so much for not only destroying my mental health and repairing it within a matter of minutes, but just delivering one of the best movies of the year. And thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me. I really do appreciate this.
Oh, thank you, very kind. Look, we really are relieved the film's doing well around the world, and I didn't waste 8 years of my life and my colleagues. It was a very difficult film to make, and the success of each film makes it a little bit easier to get the next one financed and up and running. So that's at the very least is what I'm hoping for. I get to make another one.
The word of mouth on this movie has been incredible. I'm so happy about all the love it's getting. Thank you so much again. I hope the rest of your day goes well.
Thank you. My pleasure. Great
Thank you.
question.
All right. Bye-bye, Adam. Thank you.